Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment for April 19, 2008. Before we get started today, given the date today, I thought we would take a moment to acknowledge that 23 years ago today, on April 19, 1995, we lost 168 people. So if we could like to have a moment of silence before we get started. Thank you very much. With that, I'll call the meeting to order. Before we receive the minutes, just a couple of quick announcements. If you would, please turn your cell phones to silent. If you'd like to speak on an item today and you're not an applicant, you can fill out a little white slip of paper from the front counter out there. I'd be happy to call you at the appropriate time. When you do come to the microphone, if you would, start out by giving us your name and address for the record. Be sure you adjust that mic so you can speak directly in it. The three people watching at home want to hear what you have to say too. With that, we'll start the agenda. So, first order of business is to receive the minutes from the April 5th, 2018 meeting.
I move to accept the minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the April 5th, 2018 meeting. Please cast your votes. And the meetings are received. Next order of business is continuance or withdrawal requests from staff or applicants, and I believe we have two. Is that correct?
We have one continuance. Item number one, case number 14451 is requesting to continue to the May 3rd meeting.
Is there anyone here that wishes to be heard on that matter today? Again, that's case number 14451. If not, I'll take a motion.
I move that we continue it.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to continue case number 14451 to May the 3rd. Please cast your votes, please. And the item is continued.
We have one withdrawal. Item number 3, case number 14463 is withdrawing that case.
Unless there's an objection, I'll take a motion to withdraw the application for case 14463.
Move to allow the withdrawal.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to withdraw case number 14463. Please cast your votes, please. And the application is withdrawn.
We have item number 2, case number 14462, request for a variance to the maximum height, square footage, and number of signs in the AA Agricultural District located at 1901 Spring Lake Drive.
Good afternoon, Mason Schwartz, 522 Colcord Drive. This is the second time this variance has come before you. If you recall, 2 weeks ago, we had our original submission, which requested a pole sign, 20-foot maximum height. So upon the wise feedback of this board, we went back to the drawing board and revised our dimensions and revised the style of it from being a pole sign to a monument sign. The maximum height we are now proposing is 15 feet, and the monument sign at the base, we've got a few different designs we've passed around in a packet, hoping to get perhaps some feedback on which ones would be preferable or not preferable. And so the other thing that we have passed out today as well is a packet showing locations and pictures of some comparable signs up and down MLK from 36 all the way up to about 55th. And sign A in that packet, and it might be still coming around, it starts down on 36th Street, and that is a 3-sided billboard at the northwest corner of MLK and 36th. And as you go through those additional exhibits, you see signs up and down MLK that are equal or greater height than the 15 feet we're proposing, and we believe certainly more imposing, at least in the case of the billboard, for example. And so we show you that today just to give you a little bit of context, and we would submit that the sign proposal that we now have before you today is in keeping or less imposing than the signs you see up and down MLK.
What's the total square footage?
I'm sorry?
What is the total of the dimension, square footage and everything?
So the square footage is not going to change from what we had submitted before. There actually might be well, let me clarify that. There might be a change in the actual overall square footage calculation because there might be an addition of the monument to what's calculated, but the actual display area is going to be the same as what we originally submitted, which is 216 total square feet, 144 of which are EMD display. And so, to reiterate a couple things that went over last week, this is kind of a unique property. It's over 80-acre campus. It's one of 4 Metro Tech campuses in the greater Oklahoma City area. It doesn't really have any main identification signs right now. There are some attached signage, but they're really more the, in the sense, wayfinding signs. And there is tree coverage pretty heavily from the north and the south, approaching either way. As you come past the tree line is really the first time you can see the campus from either direction. And I wanted to take just one moment to go through the statutory conditions, which I know this board is familiar with, but starting with the first statutory condition. The application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would create unnecessary hardship. We believe schools such as Metro Tech and these sites have a unique hardship when it comes to the AA sign regulations applying to it. Not only do they have to have enough signage to be able to identify their property, but also with these EMD reader boards, they play a critical component in conveying the different programs and activities and schedules to not only the traveling public on MLK, but also the students who are on campus. And so we believe that these types of schools in the AA zoning face this unique hardship. The second condition, such conditions being peculiar to the piece of property involved. Again, this piece of property with a golf course directly across the street, with the tree coverage and the other signs up and down MLK, and being part of a greater 80-acre campus, we believe it's a peculiar situation that warrants the 15-foot in the EMD reader. And the last 2 statutory conditions, substantial detriment to the public good and not impairing the purposes or intent of the ordinance, and the minimum necessary to relieve the hardship. Again, we believe that the signs up and down the rest of the street demonstrate that there's this type of sign would not substantially impair the ordinance or the comprehensive plan, and we believe that bringing it down from 20 to 15 and slightly below what you see in either direction would constitute the minimum necessary to alleviate the hardship. So we were not aware of any protests last week and not aware of any protests this week. Happy to field your questions, and we would ask for your approval.
Board members, questions for the applicant? Is there anyone here that wants to be heard on this matter today? If not, I'll take some discussion or a motion.
Question, you have 3 of them here. Is your first one the one you want?
We are.
We would be voting on one. What you've done is you've shortened the 20 to 15, is that correct?
We shortened the 20 to 15, and we're willing to commit to a monument sign. And if it, I think the second one might be the more traditional base that is consistent. I mean, we gave the board all 3 because we just wanted to, if there was one in particular that the board didn't want to see, we'd say, okay, we can get rid of that option.
Now, are all the other 2 15 as well? Or?
Yes, ma'am.
We'd only be voting on one. So your preference is the first one?
Well, the truth is, I mean, these renderings don't really, they can choose any one of them as long as it falls within the category, like the limitations
If we
of
do
the
the
variance
square
that's
feet
granted.
of 216?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. The 2 key components that we're committing to today is monument and no matter what, 15-foot height.
I see. I think it's an improvement by lowering the sign, and I do, but I still think it's tall, it's big. It's still,
You referenced in your discussion about the hardship that because it's AA zoned, that it provides a unique hardship. So why not rezone the property?
Well, it is a use permitted by right, and schools kind of face this issue, I think, on a recurring basis where they're permitted in residential and agricultural zoning. But again, this is part of a larger campus that's been operating. Rezoning out of AA to something else for, a few feet on the side, I don't think it's crossed our mind, to be honest.
I would also add to that I think if this were O2, I think they would have the same problem. And we see applications like this all the time because of the campus nature of this. But the sign that you're adding is not, it's not wayfinding related, it's not campus related. You've got an existing sign, which is a wall sign, and this is a sign to essentially identify the campus, because there's not a sign presently along the frontage of Lincoln. Is that correct?
Correct. And this is, our application, our legal description is only 12 acres, but again, it's part of an 80-acre campus, and so this will serve as our primary and really only identification sign for the entire campus.
I don't have a problem with the application. I get the need to advertise the programs, the signage, the frontage, the visibility. I understand the need. The sign last time was a step too far for me, as I said, being a pole sign that wasn't landscaped. Although it doesn't say this in your application, I'm assuming you got to meet the landscaping requirement for the sign anyway, since you're not seeking the variance for it, which is why you were so kind to show it. But so I don't have a problem with it as a monument sign. It seems to respect the issues that were really set out in the code, aside from the size, which I understand. But I'm just one person, and I can't make a motion. So
I also will add, although I think it's huge, that area it's a big campus, and it's hard to discern where you're going and what's going on. Although it's not necessarily wayfinding, it at least tells you where you are. I also think schools and higher institutions of learning have various problems, like hospitals, where sometimes you need more signage than you would for other structures. So I would move, Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the application on the basis that all the requisites for the variance have been stated and sustained.
Then I have one question that might modify that, I'm not sure, but with the uncertainty, the final design, we don't really know about a maximum square footage here, and so
216 would be the maximum allowed within the variance because it exceeds the code. So they couldn't build bigger than that, but they could build smaller than that, which
We need to
216
specify
is-
that the 216 is the display area. When he goes to get a permit, they will, since it's a monument sign, they'll calculate the area of the
based on
monument.
the additional monument, yeah.
So we need to specify in the variance that the 216 is for the
I think
display
with
sign
the,
area.
if we're willing to specify 216 and the 15-foot height, I think that pretty much covers it. There's not much more you could do. If you've got a cap on display area, and you've got a cap on height, I think that's just going to essentially solve the problem.
I would amend that to reflect the 216 of the display area and the 15-foot limit on the height in my motion.
We're agreeable with that.
I'd second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the variance for case number 14462 with the limitation that the display area of the sign not exceed 216 square feet and that the sign itself not exceed 15 feet in height. Please cast your votes, please. The application is approved.
Thank you.
Item number 4, case number 14465, request for a variance to permit a metal fence, metal accessory structure, and building walls without architectural detailing in the Stockyard City Transitional Overlay District located at 2010 Exchange Avenue.
Brian Newcomb, 2010 Exchange Avenue, Oklahoma City. I will admit this is the first time for me to be in here, so I'll start off with variance that we're seeking. We've already got approval from the Stockyards Urban Development, and we're requesting that we build a metal building, metal siding, which goes against code now for brick, stucco, Also, we have an existing fence that's metal sheeting, and we'd like to add to that metal fence in match in color. This property backs up to a poorly developed neighborhood. We're constantly getting hit with graffiti, constantly getting citations from the city because of the graffiti, and a brick building or anything of that such just seems a little excessive.
Is this, the building you're building sits behind your main structure, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it visible from the street?
No, sir.
This new building would not be visible from the street?
No, sir.
How long have you guys been in operation there?
44 years.
That's a long time. Board members, questions for the applicant?
I went out there, and I think it would be an improvement in the area, and I noticed on the staff favorable considerations. The staff report noted the metal fence and walls are compatible with existing structures, and it also had a review and recommendation from the Stockyard City Urban Design Committee. I'm in favor of it.
Is there anyone else here that wants to be heard on this matter today? If not,
I move we approve the variance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the variance for case number 14465 on the grounds that all the elements for a variance have been met. Please cast your votes, please. And the application is approved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Board.
Item number 5, case number 14466, request of Brian Scoggins for a variance to the required frontage to an approved public or private street in the AA Agricultural District located at 17424 Northeast 150th Street.
Brian Scoggins. It's Luther, Oklahoma, 73054, 17424, and I just proposed to build a metal building for my backhoe and tractor, and I don't have 50 foot of, or I don't have 150 foot of road frontage. I have a 50-foot easement in front of my neighbor in front of me that has 5 acres.
How long have you owned this parcel?
Since 2015,
Did you buy it for the use that you're intending now?
yes.
And at that time, did you have, was there an easement in place? The application notes that there's a private easement. Was that in place when you purchased the property, or is that something you've put in place subsequent?
The easement was in place. I had them update it to where the prior owner said that he would have easement through there for utilities, and I had them update it that I would be the one, or utilities could go through there. That was the only thing that was updated that got re-signed on 2015.
But the easement now allows for both access.
Ingress and egress for utilities and travel back and forth through.
Okay. Board members, questions for the applicant? If none, is there anyone else that wanted to be heard on this matter today? If not, I'll take some more discussion or a motion.
I move approval of the variance. Second.
I have a motion and a distant second to approve the variance for 14466. Please cast your votes, please. And the application is approved.
One question, I can go apply for the permit now, or do I have to wait? Oh, okay. After this. Okay, thank you.
Item number 6, case number 14467, request for a variance to the maximum display area allowed for attached signs in the C3 Community Commercial District located at 2563 West Memorial Road.
Brandon Kuhn, 2832 West Wilshire, representing the applicant. This is for the Lifetime Fitness facility that's right by Quail Springs Mall. And the reason that we're asking for a variance is this project is permitted as one structure, but really there's 2 separate structures that's a part of this project. There's the tennis facility and then the athletic facility. And so if it were permitted as such, I don't think that we would need the variance. So what we're asking for is a Lifetime athletic sign to be on each face of the wall, and then a Lifetime Fitness sign to be on each face of that building's wall. And then 2 additional accessory signs, and these will display the Life Cafe and Life Spa, which both of these things are open to the public. You don't need to be a member to access these, and so these are really kind of the only source of marketing for those things. And the last signage is for the Lifetime Cafe poolside, which is more of a wayfinding sign for their members that are using the pool deck.
How many different, so there's, I vaguely remember this application, and I don't remember if it was here or if it was at Planning Commission, but how many different restaurants are in this facility? Is it 2 or 3?
There's really 2 restaurants that are served out of the same kitchen, but there's the poolside cafe and then the regular cafe.
And then the access for the tennis facility, which is one structure, at least as you're choosing to define it today, is in a different location, I guess. It's got its own entrance and all that stuff.
No, it's actually the same entrance.
It's the same entrance. Right. Okay. So we've got signs for the restaurants. I just want to make sure that we have all this clear, that we all understand this. So we've got a main sign. Well, the first sign in our packet, it says, I guess, Life something, which I can't really make out, poolside.
Right, so that is more of a wayfinding sign that's for the members as they're using the pool deck.
Okay, so is that at a separate entrance?
There's a separate entrance, but it's from the pool deck.
Okay, and then we've got the Life Tennis facility, and there's a couple of those signs that are aggregating against your total square footage there. It looks like maybe 3 or 4 of those.
Right, 1 on each face of that building, so there'd be 3 total.
Okay. Why do they want a sign on each face?
It's for marketing, for branding. It's also to break up the kind of the architectural elements because the building's so big. I'm not sure if you've driven by there, but the building is quite large.
Record reflects the square footage is a little north of 123,000 square feet. Does that sound accurate?
Right.
Okay. And then you've got Life Spa, which I guess is that's what it sounds like, but that's kind of different. Then you've got the cafes, the poolside
Right, and
cafe.
those 2 things are open to the public. You don't have to be members to use those facilities.
Okay. Okay. Board members, other questions for the applicant? No. Is there anyone else who wants to be heard on this matter today? If not, I'll take some additional discussion or a motion.
I'd like to ask, JJ, there was some discussion about the signs don't appear to be out of scale due to the large size of the building and the building setback. Could you explain what your staff report reflects?
Well, it's just that it is, like he said, it's a very large building, and aesthetically, the signs don't appear to be overbearing due to the size of the building.
One of the other things that I guess I'll say in favor of the application as it relates to a variance is that, the sign code is there to limit the size of signs along frontage primarily. This is not, don't try to use the school argument or the hospital argument, but it is a campus-like atmosphere because it's buried within the mall. There's a road that wraps around the entire facility. So it is unique. It's not like you're trying to get a 1,200 square foot wall sign that affronts Memorial Road.
Right.
So it is unique. There's a lot of elements here that are different components to the facility, which is not something, this is not a larger, 123,000 feet, there are Lowe's and Home Depots that are that large, or Walmarts that are that large. They don't have that much signage, but they're essentially serving one purpose. So there's a variety of purposes being served by one facility here. I understand that. I think the 2-structure argument It's a good one. I'd make it. But I'm not sure, I'm not sure if it's really two structures. I wondered, from a Lifetime Fitness perspective, is it your client's position that this amount of signage is truly needed at this facility to accommodate its use, or is it just more that they're trying to see if they can get it?
No, I think this is typical of what they would usually do, and also it being their first entry into the Oklahoma City market, it's important for all those different aspects to be branded in a way that, that helps them get their message out with all the different uses.
Are these signs all lit? They all have lighting elements to them?
Yes.
I mean, there are, there are residential uses that surround a good portion of this too, especially be to the northwest-ish area. There's some apartment buildings and things like that there. Is that going to create a lot of light nuisance there?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't know. It's a lot of square footage, but I get it. So,
Yeah, and I've seen these, around the country, and they're huge. They have huge signage all around the country. That doesn't obviously mean that we need to permit the variance here, but I understand the consistency argument.
Right.
Trying to keep that consistent. I was hoping there was a way that, just because it exceeds the standards so far, I was hoping that there was a way that this could be limited. If the board doesn't think that that's an issue, I could certainly be convinced otherwise, but I thought it was, to the chair's point, potentially trying to see what the maximum that they can get rather than what was actually necessary.
No, and typically, actually, when we started this project, the structures were actually separated, and because the site is so tight, there's only so much space in the mall, they did push them together. So
what's an easy solution? Just go back and redivide it into two buildings. Problem solved.
Well, we could do that if it wasn't already up. So.
Okay. Board members, other discussion, or I'll take a motion. I can't make one.
Well, hearing no one else, I will move to decline and reject the variance.
Yeah, I might prefer a continuance here, just to see if it could be modified before we reject it and have them reapply.
Just for the clarity from staff, if an application is denied, it is a waiting period of how long before they can reapply? Is it 2 years? There's a period. How long does he have to wait to reapply if you're actually denied?
I believe it's 6 months, as long as they can show a material change in the situation or the application.
So where they're at now is the building is obviously being constructed, and they need to pull the trigger to start getting these signs manufactured. So is there something that we can give? Is there something that you're looking for that if we continued it and came back, is there something that would satisfy?
I can't speak for each and every member of the board. What I would say is that I think there's at least from my vantage point, there's an understanding that this is a unique site.
Right.
It's a unique facility that has different signage needs than what you would typically find.
Right.
I don't think there's a lot of argument with that, but we're twice the amount of allowable limit in C3, which is the most aggressive in terms of what it allows. So I think anything that we could pull from that is going to help state your case. But again, I'm just making, I can't speak for everybody else. There was a motion to deny the application. Is there a second for that motion? If there's no second, then the motion will fail for failure to carry a second. So I'd call for a second motion at this point. We can either move to continue the application and give the applicant 2 weeks or 4 weeks, nod one way or another, 2, 4.
2, please.
We can continue for 2 weeks, or I'll take a motion to approve the application either way.
Yeah, I'd move to continue the application 2 weeks, and the next meeting would be May 3rd. So I'd move to continue the application to the May 3rd meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to continue case number 14467 to the May 3rd, 2018 meeting. Please cast your votes, please. And the item is continued.
Item number 7, case number 14468, application special exception to allow a child care center in the R1 Single Family Residential District located at 3600 Northwest Expressway.
Good afternoon. My name is Ebony Brown, and I am here to request a special exemption at 3600 Northwest Expressway. We are already operating as a church and a school that goes pre-K through 8th grade. It was previously a Mother's Day Out program, and now we are turning it over to full-time childcare. And when I went down to get a permit, they told me that I needed to request a special exemption.
You said the site's operating. Is this just a sort of an ancillary service that the church is trying to provide to the community with the child care portion? Is it one of the things that's challenging about the use that a lot of people typically talk about and that we hear from neighbors is queuing of vehicles? How large is this facility going to be by way of the number of children it's attempting to serve?
We're licensed for 60 children.
You're licensed for 60 children? And what are your operating hours?
We are open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday? Mm-hmm. Drop-off and pickup times, are those staggered, or is it 7 a.m. and 6 p.m.?
7 a.m. to 10 a.m. is drop-off, and pickup is pretty much whenever they decide to pick up their kids, as long as it's before 6.
How would you queue 60 cars?
Never had 60 cars, but the parking lot is huge. As you can see, it goes all the way around because it's for the church as well. Could fit 60 easily.
I have a terrible map at the moment, but it appears that you do have direct ingress and egress off of Northwest Expressway.
I didn't hear that.
Do you have an entrance from Northwest Expressway?
No, it's from Portland Avenue.
So your only access is from Portland?
Yes.
Okay. How do you intend to queue that traffic? This is the biggest problem the use creates. I'm just curious if you guys have thought that through, if you know how to.
I mean, it's already a school.
There's already a school operating there?
Yes. Okay. So I don't think there's ever been any issues in the past.
How many kids are there now?
Can I ask my colleague?
No. This isn't phone a friend. Oh, no.
Yeah, there's an existing school that operates within the confines of the church building.
I'm just the center director. I don't deal with the school end, so.
And there's parking on the east side and adequate parking on the south side. There's more than one entrance into the parking lot for the church. And so this is really, and there's already a playground on the east side of the church where they do this. To me, it's just an extension of services that they already.
We already used it for the church nursery and Mother's Day Out, so we're just converting it to using it full time.
Yep.
I looked at the location also, and I thought it was a very nice location. It looks like it would have easy access from the Portland area, plenty of parking space. I think the queuing would be satisfactory. I don't think it would adversely affect. There have been no protests, correct?
Is there anyone here that wants to be heard on this matter today?
And I don't think it affects the vehicular traffic. And I mean, I think I think they meet all the standards and conditions for the granting of a special exception in this particular case.
Yeah. There was somebody else that raised their hand. Ma'am, would you like to be heard on this matter? Please come forward and give us your name and address for the record, please.
Charla Haight, 3600 Northwest Expressway. I'm actually the school principal. So there are two entrances off of Portland. So the school parents access the northernmost entrance, and the daycare parents do the southernmost entrance. They park and walk their child in. The school parents, there's a drive-through circle area. So I think the traffic probably shouldn't be an issue. Okay. And 153 kids at the school, somebody asked.
Thank you. Board members, other questions or discussion?
Make a motion to approve the special exemption request.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the special exception for case number 14468. Please cast your votes, please. The application is approved.
Blessings. Thank you.
Item number 8, case number 14469, request for a variance to permit the expansion of a non-conforming structure by more than 50%, and a variance to the required 25-foot side yard setback in the AA Agricultural District located at 12,306 Southeast 38th Street.
Good afternoon, I'm Jerry Baker. I live at 12537 Southeast 38th Street, just down the road. We saw the house was for sale and picked it up, and thought it'd be a nice place to pick up and fix up and rent out, but when we went down there to see what we could do with the property, we noticed it was zoned AA, and we didn't have the frontage that we needed to 38th Street. And we missed it by, about 2 months on the variance that the city took into effect in 1947. I don't remember the December 1947. So that's why I'm here today. One of two things: see if we can add 50% to the lot and kind of remodel the house, or knock it down. It's a fairly old place. Some of it's done right, some of it's not, and build something along those lines in its place.
If I understood staff correctly on this, if you would have built this residence in 1947, is that correct? Then a variance would not be required.
December 9th, 1947.
Okay. Additionally, if the property had been annexed 2 years earlier,
A few months earlier.
it would have been classified as A instead of AA,
Correct, and
So
A is now R1.
and A is now
Single family.
R1.
Just barely.
Some near misses.
It happens regularly with me, sir.
Is there anyone else who wants to be heard on this matter today? Board members, questions, comments, or motions?
So are we textualists, strict textualists, or the spirit of the rules here? I think probably the spirit would be to approve the application. I move to approve the application.
On the grounds, of course, that all the elements of a variance have been met and established.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14469 on the grounds that all the elements of a variance have been met. Please cast your votes, please. The application is approved.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Item number 9, case number 14471, request for a variance to the, variance to the maximum number of display area of accessory signs in the AA Agricultural District located at 11800 and 11820 Southwest 44th Street.
Good afternoon, David Box, 522 Colcord Drive. Here today on behalf of the applicant, there are also some members with the Mustang Public School System that are here with me today. We actually have 2 items on the agenda. The first item is case number 14471. Our sites are zoned AA. We have a elementary school and then middle school on this site, which is off of Southwest 44th Street. So what I'm going to do is try to walk you through the signage we request. The reason we're here is the sites being zoned AA are extremely limited, especially considering what we have in terms of 2 schools, different parents, buses, et cetera. So the AA zoning district would only allow 1 sign and 100 square feet. As you might imagine, that is wholly inadequate for what we seek to do. So on the Southwest 44th application, I might turn it north to make it a bit easier, we seek 2 separate monument signs, both under 8 feet in height. And the reason being, north, we have a elementary school. South, we have a middle school. So to indicate the different drives, we want 1 monument sign for the elementary school, and we want 1 monument sign for the middle school. They'll both be similar in appearance, except one will say the name of the middle school, one will say the name of the elementary school. In addition to that, we also have some attached signage. There will be an attached signage on the back side of this elementary school here so it's facing kind of south, southeast, not facing the right-of-way. And then again, we'll have a sign on the north side of the middle school and on the south side of the middle school. A lot of that deals with drop-off, wayfinding to make sure that the parents, buses, et cetera, are able to find their way to the appropriate spots. So when you look at the 100 square feet that the AA would allow, we do believe it's wholly inadequate. What we're asking for are the two monument signs and then the 3 attached signs that I referenced. In total, our total square footage is still less than 400 square feet. So we do think that it's minimal. We think it certainly meets the elements necessary for a variance. This will simply allow the Mustang school system to adequately sign this site that has so many different things going on. Staff, despite their best efforts, has failed to identify any unfavorable considerations. So we would ask for your approval and be happy to answer any questions.
I believe staff resents that comment.
No, I think I saw him say he tried.
Board members, questions for the applicant? Is there anyone else who wants to be heard on this matter today? Seeing none, I'll take some additional discussion or a motion.
Well, as everybody probably knows, I think that schools, and as noted by the staff, really I'd like someday to see some ordinances specifically relating to schools, hospitals, and churches. But I think that these particular proposals would be in meeting with the needs of the school system. And I went out there, and that is a lovely, lovely design of a school. I thought it was really, really very kind of unique, too. So I'm in favor of the approval of the variance. I think the requisites have been made and sustained. It is a motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the application for case number 14471 on the grounds that all the elements of a variance have been met. Please cast your votes, please. And the application is approved.
Item number 10, case number 14472, request for a variance to the maximum number of display area and accessory signs in the AA Agricultural and SPUD 990 district located at 12400 and 12500 Southwest 15th Street.
Again, for purposes of the record, David Box, 522 Colcord Drive. This is a similar application, again, for the Mustang school system off of Southwest 15th Street. Here, what we're seeking, it's one school, except there is also here, when you see on your map, SPUD 990, that was a SPUD that we applied for and were ultimately granted approval for a bus transportation facility. So what we're seeking here is a monument sign, again, at the frontage, again, under 8 feet tall, less than 100 square feet, and then the sheet number C370 in the packet you've got, if you turn to the second page, you'll see the attached signage that identifies this particular school. It's sheet number A203.1. So there you'll see here it says Meadowbrook Intermediate School. So that's the attached signage that will be here along Southwest 15th Street, visible from the frontage. The other two attached signs will be on the south side of the bus transportation facility, each side, the 55 square feet. So on this application, the total square footage that we're seeking is less than 280 square feet. But again, we are zoned AA, and therefore we're limited in terms of one sign and 100 square feet. So we still believe that we meet the elements necessary for a variance and would ask for your approval.
Is there anyone else who wants to be heard on this item today? If not, board members, discussion, motion?
Move to approve the application for the reasons that it meets the statutory standards.
I'll second it.
I have a motion in 2 seconds to approve the variance for case number 14472 on the grounds that all the elements of a variance have been met. Please cast your votes. And the application is approved.
Thank you.
Item number 11, case number 14473, request for a variance to the minimum 25-foot front yard setback and the 15-foot corner side yard setback in the R1 Single Family Residential District located at 901 Northwest 43rd Street.
Thank you very much. Josh Moore, 3839 South Boulevard, Edmond.
with Project 43 LLC. We currently own 901 Northwest 43rd Street. If we had a hardship, it would be that we didn't own this property when we replatted all of that property to the west through a PUD a couple years ago. We now own this corner, and what we're asking for, we feel like will make it more homogeneous with the lots to the west and with our project, and this is the last lot on that block. So we're just wanting to bring it up to speed with those lots, and like I said, make it more homogeneous with the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So the setbacks you're proposing on this application would bring it into conformance with the setbacks from the adjoining parcel?
It's actually less. We have 5 feet front setbacks on 43rd Street with what we've already replatted. We're asking for 10 feet on the corner just to move it back some for more walkability on that corner and even more views on that corner. We have 5-foot side yards, standard side yards on the interior lots. On the corner, we're asking for a 10 instead of 15.
Okay. Probably helps with side triangles and stuff like that, too, to pull it back a little bit.
Yes. And we've talked with our current residents there in the project and around the neighborhood, and walkability, open space is important there, and we want to keep that important so that we're not asking for as much as we did in the first phase.
Why aren't you making an application to do it the same way the other properties were done as opposed to coming for a variant?
Being one lot, and we replatted in a way through PUD the 2x2s that we're doing to the west, because we were breaking up each lot into 2 separate lots for front units and back units. We don't plan to do this at this time on the lot on the corner. So in that case, we didn't feel like it was necessary to do a lot split or a replat, or I guess if we could amend that to that PUD.
Well, you're keeping this as one lot, right?
Correct.
So I mean, this is your path. You're not going to rezone a lot that's already zoned.
Just need the variance, yeah.
Other questions or comments? Apparently there is no one else who wants to be heard on this matter today.
I feel like I'm getting kept after school or something.
I'd move to approve the application for the reason that it meets the statutory standards.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to approve case number 14473 on the grounds that all the elements of a variance have been met. Please cast your votes, and the application is approved.
Thank you very much.
I don't know what I did with my page 1, but staff, development services, municipal counselor's office, board members, comments? Nope. All righty. I'll take a motion to adjourn, even though we don't need one.
So moved.
Second.
We're adjourned. Kevin votes against it. He wants to stay and hang out.